Hey signers, you guys have been asking so many questions and I'm gonna answer them here. If you have any other questions that pop up, just leave them down in the comments. I can maybe answer it for you there, or maybe we'll make another video in the future. Now, let's answer your questions. Before we get started, let me give you an update on what's been happening in our life. So recently, my husband and I and our 2 kids have moved in to our new home. This has been something that we've been dreaming and planning about for years, and it's finally happened, and we just moved in just a few months ago. Currently, we're almost completely moved in. We still have a few 10, 15 boxes left in our garage. We'll get to it. We're now filming everything at our house, which is really, really great. It just does take a little bit of setup and tear down. Our kids, Kate and Lane, are both in school. Kate is in 2nd grade and she's loving ballet and she's loving reading, which is great. Lane is in kindergarten and he's loving school, but also he loves building with Legos, like all the time. As far as our YouTube channel goes, things are going great. It is growing like crazy, and we want to thank you all for that. Because of the craziness of the growth, we realize we can't respond to all of the comments, but we want you to know that we read every single one of them. Oh, it's our 100,000 subscribers plaque. It's our silver play button. It's pretty cool. And this is the first time we've actually set it out. It's been in a box for 3 months, and we got it. But it's definitely not gonna stay sitting in our dining room. That's just a little weird. We don't know where we're gonna put it. Anyways, yes, thank you so much for all of you that are subscribing to our channel, because there's no way we'd be able to do this without you. So thanks so much. That's our life update. So if you have questions about our life update, ask them down in the comments. I don't know if we'll do a video on a life update, but there you go. That's our life. All right, let's get to the questions that you guys have been asking us, and let's go. So a big question that you guys ask is about ASL structure and closing signal. So at the end of every video, you've probably noticed that we have ASL sentences signed at the end. So we have the English sentence, and then we have the ASL sentence. So that way, when you're done with the video, you have some actual sentences that you'd be able to sign. A lot of people think that English and ASL are the same, that you just sign ASL in English structure. But if you've seen our videos before, you notice that ASL sentence structure is completely different. It's based on what we call a topic comment structure. You're looking at a sentence and you're trying to find what are we really focusing on in the sentence, and then what are we commenting or questioning about? So for instance, let's take, my son is smart. Well, in that sentence, who are we talking about? Or what is the topic of the sentence? Well, the topic is son. Then we're saying what my son is. He is smart. We are commenting about him. So we would sign this, my son, smart. Notice whenever I do this, my son, and then I comment smart. There's a pause in between because then I'm commenting that he is smart. My son, smart. So if you have specific questions on ASL sentence structure, we have a video specifically on topic comment structure for ASL. And that's a really, really good way to get started, to get that basic understanding of ASL structure. Along with that, a lot of you guys had the question of what is a closing signal? Now that closing signal that we've talked about before is that me or you at the end of a sentence. And some people don't quite understand what is even the point of that. Or I've seen other people do ASL and they don't use a closing signal. Now, what I do want to say is that closing signal is not required in ASL. It is just textbook ASL. So if you've noticed that I've used it in sentences and you haven't seen it used by other deaf people or by other signers, just know that it is okay. It is not required. The closing signal is a way for you to show the other signer that you are done with your thought and now they can respond. Think of it whenever we're speaking with somebody and you know the person is done speaking by how their voice trails off. This way, you know then in turn, you can respond because they're done with their thought. This is the same idea for a closing signal. I hope this clears things up in knowing how and why to use closing signals, but also that it's not a requirement. We also talk about the closing signal in our ASL Sentence Structure video. Another question you guys ask a lot is American Sign Language universal? And the answer is no, it's not. The name of it is called American Sign Language, used here in America and used in Canada as well. But it should be noted that American Sign Language is used in other countries as well, but it is not a universal language, and there is no universal language out there. There is a gesturing system, but it is not considered a language at all. Not only is American Sign Language a language in and of itself, but there's also a rich history and background related to the language. And that's what makes it so specific to America, American Sign Language. This can be true for tons of other countries that have their own sign language system. We cover this topic and more in a video that we call Sign Language Around the World. So go and check it out. So here are some quick fire questions from your comments that I'm gonna answer now. Can you guys do a video for first responders? So we don't have a video specifically for first responders, but we do have a medical signs video that you can find linked in the description. How do you sign I love you in sign language? I love you is just like this, and you'll see me do it at the end of every video. All right, this is a great question. If I watch all of your learn how to sign videos, will I become fluent in sign language? So I'm going to say probably not. And the reason for this is that sign language, just like any other language, takes so much practice and takes you being involved in that culture and that community that uses that language. So from my videos, what will happen is you can practice and watch these videos and have a really good basic understanding of the language and be able to go out and start conversations and have conversations with people who are deaf and hard of hearing. But if you want to become fluent, the best thing to do is go out into the deaf community and go and take college classes and community classes. That is how I became fluent in the language, and it speaks volumes of how the deaf community really supports those who are wanting to learn their language and be involved in their culture and community. All right, here's another question. In the numbers videos, our hand is facing us, the signer. But here, when giving the time, the hand is facing away. Is this the norm when telling time to someone else? Thank you. So whenever you're doing time, when the number is by itself, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it's facing towards you. But whenever it's incorporated into a specific sign, and we'll link those videos down in the description, it is gonna be facing out for like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. But it can also be for 1 cent, 2 cents going out. So for some of those examples, that's what we call the rule of 9. And again, down in the description. Do I think that it's better to learn from literature, on videos, or in person? So I personally learned from in-person classes, but there's so much more out there now in the form of videos and different like online tutorials and stuff like that. Literature is going to be really, really hard because when you're looking at a book, it's only 2-dimensional and you have all of those like lines and things like that. And it's really hard to know what they're actually signing and then reproduce it. Doing videos like this is a great way to get started and to go, ooh, I have an interest in ASL. Let me see how far I can take this. And then from there, I think if that interest just keeps on growing, that's when you go in and you take these classes from professors who are deaf and hard of hearing or those who are native signers. I think it's really important to go out into the community and to go out and take classes because that's where you're really going to be challenging yourself. Online is a great way to get started and to just get that hook into loving American Sign Language and wanting to be a part of the deaf community and the culture. Okay, so we have a request for making a baby sign language video, and that is something that could be on our radar. But we were reached out to a little while back, and we created a whole library of videos for babysignlanguage.com, so you can go and check them out. So right now, I'll teach you 5 baby signs. The ones that I started out with for my kids were milk, because you're milking a cow, more, your flat O hands are like this and you're putting them together, more, eat, put it up to your mouth, eating, and then mommy and daddy. And those are some great first baby signs to start with. Okay, so some of you guys have shared that you might have arthritis or some other ailments that cause it to be difficult to sign. So what I would suggest is to make sure before you even start signing is to make sure that your hands are warmed up. And that is just by stretching them. And I do this every morning before I teach my classes, is I stretch my wrists, I stretch my fingers, I open and shut them. I just make sure that my hands feel warmed up, because if you're starting off with them cold, it makes it a lot harder on your hands. And also know your limitations and don't push yourself too hard. I mean, it's just like whenever you're working out or something, you just need to know your limits and to not push yourself too hard to make whatever is going on worse. If it's something that you're really, really wanting to pursue, but it is something that is really hard on your body, talk to your doctor about it to make sure that you're not causing damage to your hands. All right, tips and tricks for finger spelling. Okay, so this is one that whenever I am teaching my classes about finger spelling and then a fingerspelled word comes up into a sentence and then all my students just basically want to do this. So like insert the emoji. With finger spelling, it needs to be understood that it is just like reading, but just in a different form. So whenever you started reading, it was just like practicing. And now whenever you read, you can see those words and then it just like comes to mind, right? You see it on the paper and you're not like having to spell it out. So with finger spelling, it's the same idea. It's just training your brain to see those letters and sound it out, not spell it out. You're taking a word and say, for instance, you see cat, but all you see is C-A-T. Well, your brain is not going to compute cat if all you're thinking about is C-A-T. So what you need to do is start training your brain to see it as reading it out, not spelling it out. And I hope that helps. Ways that you can practice at home is there's a website called ASL.ms, and it's literally just a hand like throwing up different words, and you can change the speed, you can change the amount of the letters, and then you can type it in and it will give you a smiley face or a red, like sad face. And so that way you can practice at home. Now, given that's not gonna be the same as seeing it person to person, but it at least gives you some sort of practice. Now, of course, if you have a friend who is doing sign language as well and you want to practice this back and forth, practice fingerspelling words back and forth. Okay, so some of you guys are asking about signs that look the same and how do you know that those signs are different? So what you need to make sure that you're looking at is the hand shape, palm orientation, location, movement, and non-manual signals of each sign so you know specifically how that sign needs to be signed. So the parameter that would be different for nice and clean is nice is one movement and clean is a multiple movement. Now for help and amen would also be the movement versus amen and help, or the movement of help me and help you. If there are other ones that come to mind, leave them down in the comments and I'll share with you how those are different. I hope that we were able to cover some of these questions that you guys have. And if more questions pop in your head, leave them down in the comments. And maybe we'll make more videos like this in the future. Also, as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And until next time, keep learning how to sign.